well, not really. We're talking about all things to reduce our stress all day long.
So they know that things like exercise. So at the moment there's more than 1,400 studies being done at this moment in relation to exercise and how it improves our health. Yep. What a surprise. So, yes, exactly. So what they're recommending for people who are depressed is a minimum of half-hour walking a day. So in dementia, where obviously the brain is really starting to deteriorate, they've done half an hour walking a day and found that over a 12-month period, the amygdalas in the brains increased the hippocampuses. Hippocampus is a memory centre, amygdalas, fight and flight, but the hippocampus is actually increased by on average 10% over a 12-month period with just a half-hour walk a day in elderly dementia patients.
That's amazing. And that's probably to do with endorphins that you're producing while you exercise.
Yes.
Because your brain loves endorphins.
It does.
Endorphins is a natural thing your body produces, and it is like a drug. Your brain loves it.
And what do we do when we're depressed? We sit down and watch TV. We lie down in our bed and we sleep more than we should. We generally don't do a lot, so therefore our blood supply is really stagnant. By getting out and walking, we're moving, we're getting sunshine, we're getting fresh air, we're seeing other human beings, we're patting dogs along the way, we're looking at the roses, we're doing all this stuff out there in the universe that really we should be doing every day, but it's so easy to live that life where you never leave your house.
Oh yeah, I did it for 6 years.
Yeah, okay.
I was that badly depressed with anxiety, I got agoraphobic.
Right.
So I hated walking out of my door for 6 years. And here I am on the radio now. You can't stop me.
Amazing.
So you can get through it.
Yes.
Okay, you just got to find your own particular pathway.
You do.
On how to deal with it.
Yes.
And own it. Don't think you're going to get cured.
No, and some people think that when we start going back through, because obviously naturopathically, all naturopaths have a bit of a longer first consult than, say, a GP or something like that, because as most people know, it often takes 5 to 8 minutes meeting a GP to being given a prescription for anti-anxiety or antidepressants. So, there's not a lot of history there, whereas a naturopath might actually look back through and go, okay, so it did start when, say, you lost your mother or you got a divorce or, they're
looking for a trigger.
They're looking for a trigger because often you say, well, how were you before that? And some people will go, no, I've always felt anxious since I was a little kid. So some people will have had that, and then you start going, what was your mother's pregnancy like? Because as we know, hormones in the womb can affect the development and the way the neurology of the brain is being developed in the bubbies, in the womb. Right, yeah. So, and there's a lot of research on that these days. So we're now getting to that point in history where the research is matching up with what people think. Well, yes, I've got that, mannerism of my mother or my father or my grandma. So people are often much more connected to where it came from these days. Having said that, a lot of people have never been asked. So if you do suffer from anxiety and depression, make a bit of a timeline. Sort of look at your life. Sort of go, okay, so when was the first time I remember feeling depressed or anxious? What are the things in my life that really do make me happy? And sometimes they can't think of anything that makes them happy either. And that's sort of whenever I hear that, quite often it's because the brain has deliberately switched off their ability to make happy hormones because their body is in vigilance. It's trying to keep them safe by deliberately not allowing them to make serotonin and dopamine because the brain is deliberately keeping them in vigilance all the time so that they're ready for the next stress, so that they don't accidentally be happy and then walk out and see something that traumatizes them again. Yeah. So the brain is trying to protect us a lot of the time. And even if you think about depression, sometimes it's a protective mechanism. If you go to bed and can't get out of bed for 3 weeks, what is it you're avoiding? You need to start going, there's something big. You don't just go to bed for 3 weeks just for fun. No. It just doesn't happen like that.
And I think the hardest thing for most people is actually acknowledging it.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and they do, a lot of people are walking around feeling awful, feeling stressed, feeling very emotional, and then just putting it down to work life.
Yes.
Busy with the kids, A lot of people do go through it. And they, like we were talking about before, they just shot it off to the side and deal with it, deal with what they have to do next.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just having anything to do regularly where you're communicating with other human beings. They did one weird study about 20 years ago where they looked at the number of people we need to have contact with daily in order to maintain human equilibrium. And it was about 8 people a day.
Okay, you might want to explain to people that are listening what might be the human equilibrium that you're talking about.
So going back, say 100 years ago, if you want to do anything, you had to walk out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to walk out of the house to go buy your flour or your sugar or your garden rake. So I'm an Anna Green Gables fan. Anyway, so basically then you would have to go to the greengrocers, but on the way you would actually run into your neighbour and and all these sort of people. And each time you have a human interaction, it increases your brain energy because, once again, going back 100 years ago, things weren't so stressful when we walked out of our house.
No, and our bodies naturally kept it at a good balance regardless. So we balance life and what our body needs at the same time.
It's not so easy these days. And it's not so easy because many people, not most people, but many people are in a heightened state of stress. So you might have the person at the supermarket who isn't that pleasant to you because she's having a bad day. You might pick up your petrol from the petrol station and he's having a bad day. So all of a sudden, we're not just getting that nice little human interactions because because like we've talked about before, anxiety is getting more and more and more. So more and more people are then vigilant on a daily basis. So it's more about protecting ourselves. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be out there being happy and smiley and friendly to people, because sometimes you doing that can make their day as well.
No, that's why I always say smiling is the most infectious thing in the world, because usually the people that are experiencing anxiety and depression, they're the ones that do smile the most because they're trying to hide behind the stress, their emotions. Sometimes they call it a fake smile, but that's how they how they cope.
Yeah, absolutely.
But your smile to someone else could make a huge difference if having a bad day. Because what do you do when someone smiles? You naturally smile back.
Yes.
So the muscles in your face naturally go, oh, this is a pleasure moment.
Yes.
Your brain reacts to it. So, yeah.
And even when you pretend smile, you still start making the happy hormones.
Exactly.
So it's really good because the hormones follow the physiology. And same with walking. How many people start their walk in the afternoon? They go, oh God, it's so hot, I can't possibly do it. But they get out there and they enjoy it once they're actually moving.
I'm that person that goes, no, I'm not going to go walking. And usually my husband's really good because he'll go, come on baby, come on, go for your walk, or something like that. And it's so, look, the motivation with depression, you don't have it.
Yes.
All right? There is no motivation there. That's depression for you. You've got to find it. And walking does affect, it's a pain in the bum.
Yeah.
But you get there.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
One of the best things, there's a speaker that I've been listening to for 20 years from Metagenics. Her name's Angela Carroll. She's got all sorts of qualifications. But she said once at a seminar, she said, what do you say when clients don't have the motivation to exercise? And she said, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what she says to her clients all the time. You don't have to like it, you just have to do it.
There is benefits involved with a bit of exercise.
Yes.
And especially with anxiety and depression, you do get heaps of benefits. It's just finding that moment to go, you know what, I'm getting up.
Yes, and just get up.
It's me every day.
Yes.
Look, great talking to you about anxiety and depression, and hopefully there's plenty of people out there that just might take that step to give you a call and talk a bit more. But right now we're going to change the tempo just a little bit. I'm going to play Baltimore with Tarzan Boy. This was me when I was a teenager skating around a skate rink in the Territory thinking I was all deadly. This is Bay FM 100.3.